I hope if we're live. Let's have a find out. You guys let me know. Are we live? I think we should be, because this is a pretty important bit of news. As you may have been able to tell with some of the more recent sort of videos and stuff like that, sometimes it's hard to find the right thing to talk about when it comes to Leeds bits and bobs, because sometimes there isn't a whole lot to talk about. It's sort of a vague, broad, loosey-goosey thing where you're trying to work out what's going on, what isn't going on, is there anything in a story. And I will be honest, the first day of the Strand Larsen rumour is potentially one of my worst days, because I approached that day going, Strand Larsen has already rejected a move to Newcastle. Wolves have just said no, which is a significant issue, because the neighbours are screaming. Wonderful. Part of the reason I'm not asleep right now is because one neighbour is screaming, the other is playing incredibly loud dubstep. So I've not had any sleep yet. But I approached this at first going like, obviously we're not in for Strand Larsen. And as time's gone on and on and on, it's become more and more and more and more like, oh, we're not just interested in Strand Larsen, we are actively making moves in the direction of Jurgen Strand Larsen, who is a very, very, very good player who will make a significant difference to the team. So, in this stream, I am going to run through all of the things that we know right now, specifically the developments that have come since I did the video this morning, because this morning I was like, here's some Strand Larsen updates. Those updates are now out of date because of what else has happened. The updates are, however, still pretty good, and I talk about some other players that we are potentially looking at signing, so please give that a watch, because I put a lot of effort into that video. But we'll have a look at what's happened since the morning, what that ultimately means for Leeds United going forwards, what we've learned about moves and all that kind of stuff, and ultimately whether or not we think this is going to happen and how he's going to fit into the squad. I will get onto that one, Dr. Cox, but it's a very, very good point. Also, at any point during the stream, if you have something to say or a question or anything, we can always hop over to Questions Corner. Questions Corner. What a place, what a time, where I will just happily answer any questions that are chucked about from place to place, etc., etc., etc. So, before I dive into absolutely everything, 1 second, I'm going to have to very quickly do a thing. Bosh. I'm not sure this is going to be the longest of streams, by the way, because as mentioned, no sleep, which is a bit of a problem. But anyway, let's get into the main bit. So, many, many, many different sources, including, as mentioned here, by Datby Rejects, The Telegraph, followed by The Athletic, followed by Graham Smith, followed by fucking everyone that has any knowledge about Leeds United as a sort of journalistic endeavour, has said that Leeds United have not only made a bid for Jurgen Strand Larsen, but it has been very, very likely rejected. This has reportedly happened earlier in the week, a few days ago, and the clubs are now in a little bit more contact, which is a pretty damn significant thing that I'm kind of liking. The fact that we are not only looking at a target that is, let's be honest, a difficult target to get our hands on, but we're looking at signing them when other clubs are looking at them is a big sign of sort of ambition and all this kind of stuff. Further details, they value Jurgen Strand Larsen at £40 million. However, there's a little bit of complexity behind all of this as well, because in spite of the fact that they value him at £40 million, there is a little bit of word going on that doesn't matter, because they value him at 40 million quid right now, but we all know that Wolves are down, right? So if I very quickly go over to here, go over to there, go over to there, pull up the table, the standings of the Premier League, the one that we are all incredibly familiar with, and I point you towards monitor number 2, which is still too big. Oh, thanks, past me. You've really screwed the pooch on that one. There we go. You can see Wolves very, very comfortably sitting at the bottom without any real hope of getting out of there. They're currently 14 points behind where they need to be. They need to be a point per game, better than not only Forest, but better than all of the other teams in front of them, which feels borderline impossible. This means that the reported relegation release clause that is sat in Jurgen Strand Larsen's contract, which reportedly sits at something along the lines of £25 million, is going to be a very, very big problem for them. Because at the moment they have this ticking time bomb of an asset that in the summer they were getting bids from Newcastle of £60 million and they were just rejecting them out of hand and going, well, no, because we think we've built a reasonable enough squad to survive in the Premier League this season, and that squad is reliant on Jurgen Strand Larsen. Turns out, selling key players like Ryan Aït-Nouri isn't necessarily going to help them. So that slid a little bit. So currently they're saying, shit, when it gets to the summer, when it gets to the next window, our £60 million asset will, instead of £60 million, be worth about 25, because that's what it's limited to. We will have lost 35 million quid over what we could have had, which means that they're sort of urgent to get him off the books at the moment. They're looking at this £40 million price tag not as, well, we're losing £20 million over what we could have had last summer, but they're viewing it as, this is 15 million quid that we won't have in the summer. And we've been relegated. We know what it's like to be in that place, because being in that place is, oh no, fire sale. All of the very, very good footballers that we've got want to leave and they want Premier League football. Fuck. What do we do now? But in the event that they're able to sell Jurgen Strand Larsen now, they'll have an extra 15 million quid in their opinion if they get their valuation than they would if they were to sell in the summer. Because it's just common sense way of doing it. If you know that you've got food that's going off as a supermarket, you're going to reduce the price rather than let it just get chucked out at the end of the day. It all kind of adds up. And then you get to the fact that the bid has been rejected. Because in my opinion, this tells us one fairly simple thing, and it's the fact that Leeds United have done the thing now that Leeds United did in the summer last year, and that is look at a potential deal and think, I wonder if we can pay a little bit less for this. And I will be completely clear, I like the way that we did the summer window last year. A lot of people approached absolutely everything and went, well, Leeds are just looking to lowball people, which means that clearly we're not interested in actually doing a deal. Couldn't be further from the truth, because in my opinion you don't actually look to get those signings in the first place. If you're not interested in doing a deal, that would be incredibly stupid. It looks like what we're trying to do is squeeze Wolves a little bit in this situation. It looks like the situation is, I'm doing it. Sod it. You've got Wolves on one side, who want the £40 million figure. You've got Leeds on the other, who I'm going to say want to instead pay something like the 25. Now, for me, you got your Leeds, you got your Wolves. This isn't a case of, this is the only price Leeds will pay, this is the only price Wolves will pay, because that would be stupid, and then the concept of negotiation wouldn't exist. Instead, it's going to be more a case of this. Graphing the likelihood at which each side is likely to actually want to do this deal. So Wolves, as they go up to that £40 million figure, will get more and more tempted. They'll be more tempted by 30 than they are 25. They'll be more tempted by 35 than they are 25. And the more they start to feel like they're not able to get the job done at £40 million, they will think, right, okay, let's maybe sell at a slightly lower price. At the same time, Leeds will go in with the initial feeling of let's go as close as we can to that relegation release clause. Still a little bit above, because otherwise there's absolutely no way of selling them on that, but still a little bit beneath, because that's going to make a little bit above, sorry, because it makes more sense for them, but at the same time we're not paying the £40 million. But as it comes to it, we'll go, all right, fine, we can't get him at 25, let's try 30, let's try 32, let's try 36, let's try whatever. And we'll land presumably somewhere in the middle, and you get a little bit more of this idea based on the fact that, according to many sources, including a couple of people that I've spoken to directly, Leeds are fully expected to go back in for this one. This isn't a case of Leeds have looked at it, been rejected, and gone, sod it, not worth our time or effort. It's more a case of Leeds have seen this, gone, oh, that's not a no, that's a not for that price, stay in the room and we can keep having the conversation, which is very, very significant, in my opinion. To me, that says something along the lines of the negotiations are still wide open and we are not that far away, because if the conversation is still happening, clearly it's not a number that is so big that Leeds have gone, ooh, no thanks. And it's not a number that is so small that Wolves have gone, ha, fuck off. It's somewhere that is nice and comfy in the middle, and this is where a weird thing that happened a couple of weeks ago comes back into play. 1 second, I just need to quickly reply to someone on something if I can find the right post-it note. I've got like 7 post-it notes around me right now. Hang on. Just someone's asked for a little bit of clarity on something. It's not on the post-it note, it's on an envelope, which is my copy of the square ball for this month. There we go. A man called Wayne owes me something now. Am I still live or did things break? It looks like things broke for a moment, but we're still live and going. That's fine. But this comes back to the agent situation that was discussed in a match a couple of weeks back. It's a fairly significant thing because everyone was like, oh my god, Jurgen Strand Larsen's agents at Elland Road. And everyone in response was kind of like, that's normal. He's a season ticket holder. However, he may be a season ticket holder, but this does give us a little bit of an advantage because if someone is actively a Leeds United fan, you need to think about what that means for the negotiation. Because if you're actively a Leeds United fan and you are holding on to one of the best assets that exists in Europe at that point, and I'm not saying he's one of the best players in Europe, to be clear, but best assets in terms of a hell of a lot of space and potential to grow as a player. I don't think he's at his peak at the minute. I think the fact is he's very, very early into his time in the Premier League. He's still adapting. 25 years old, and I'll be honest, the reason that he's struggling right now is because Wolves as a whole are struggling. This isn't Strand Larsen isn't good enough to drag Wolves forward. Wolves are a very, 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 very heavy weight that are just stopping any movement from happening with him, and it's causing issues for development, which is quite funny, in my opinion. But the link with the agent means that, in essence, we have the confirmation there that there is potential for a move to happen. If you are supporting, and this, I'll be honest, I don't know how conflict of interest rules work when it comes to football agencies. It feels a little bit wobbly in this specific instance. But if your client and your football club are interested in one another, because they very, very clearly are, get this done. And the fact that I feel like my stream is continually dying, and that's a little bit of a pain. Can you guys let me know if the stream is continually dying? Because then I can try and do things to fix it. Back. Fantastic. But if we're in a position where clearly we want it, clearly the player wants it, and there is only Wolves left to persuade, we have someone who has directly buffered for you. Back now, did freeze for 10 seconds. Lovely. Cool. That's the internet connection doing dodgy things. So if that happens again, just shout in the chat so I'm aware, because I don't want to just talk into a void. That'd be really, really annoying. Your McDonald's Wi-Fi. It's new Wi-Fi as well. It's like gigabit Ethernet, but for some reason it keeps having a moment, which sucks because it's making me feel slightly unprofessional. And it's throwing me off my flow, and my flow is already janky because I am incredibly sleepy. But the fact that their agent is going to know what Wolves want and is going to know what Leeds United are willing to do, and the fact that he's still saying, have the conversation, says that there's definitely some meshing going on there. And for me, it's distinctly positive. 60% of the chat, however, and there's a reason that I ran this poll, believe that the move is not going to happen. And that is very, very interesting to me. Also, if he comes along, and this is because I feel like he's not here right now, but we need to hold this one in the bank. If Slink comes into the chat and says anything about the potential for a move, we need to call him wrong. Because when it came to the Buonanotte move, the day before, no, it wasn't even the day before, the day that move was confirmed and concrete, He was in this chat going, we're not going to get Buonanotte done. We're not going to get anything done in this window. We didn't only get Buonanotte done, but we made a fairly big bid in the general direction of Jurgen Strand Larsen. In terms of what he can do for Leeds when it comes to the rest of the season, I am so ridiculously positive about this. Incredibly positive. Because I feel like he's... If we just have a look at his numbers, right? And this isn't going to be the numbers that I want it to be, because some bastards killed FBref. Look at my video from yesterday to find out more about that, because I'm still distinctly angry about that. I'm not going to go into detail, though, for reasons that some people will know. Quite funny reasons, but I still can't discuss them. But if we have a look at Strand Larsen, and we have a look at his career numbers, shall we? And I'm going to F11 that so it doesn't go a little bit funky. So going season on season, in 21-22, when he was playing in the Eredivisie, scores himself 14 goals. Then moves to Celta Vigo the next season. He gets 4 goals in La Liga. Admittedly, not the greatest numbers, but he's adapting. It's fine. The next season, second season in La Liga, gets himself 13. First season in the Premier League, gets himself 14 goals in 35 appearances, which is pretty damn big. If we're having a look at any centre forward in the Premier League right now and seeing they've scored 14 goals, you're thinking that's a pretty damn good asset to have to hand. This season, less good, scored once in the Premier League. However, it's not strictly his fault, as mentioned, because a hell of a lot of the side has just been sold out from underneath Wolves, which is causing issues for Wolves, which I think is very, very funny, and it's causing very, very good things for Leeds United at the moment, which I'm very, very happy with. It's great. 1 second. Let's have a little bit of a read. But I'm going to check through the chat anyway, because I think Strand Larsen is a big addition. He's someone that can finish. His movement is very, very good. He suits the idea of Big Bastards FC. And the final point that I had on my notes before I was going to get into a little bit of general conversation was that he is perfectly suited to the 49ers recruitment strategy. Because a lot of people will look at the 49ers recruitment strategy and they'll just go, they're trying to do it on the cheap. Which, what I'm about to say isn't going to sort of reject that theory, but at the same time, it's not a bad thing. Because instead of just do it on the cheap, it feels like what Leeds have done is continuously look for assets that are incredibly high in quality, but are relatively depreciated compared to other players. So, for example, Autanaka. Everyone is looking at him now going, he is a ridiculously good player. He's an incredibly good footballer. He cost us 3 million quid. Gruev, serviceable. Ampadu, 8 million quid. Rodon, about 8 million quid, I believe, off the top of my head. Calvert-Lewin, free. Mecha, free. Okafor, admittedly, not having the best of times, but 18 million, which, for a winger in today's market, ain't half bad. Nonto, about £4 million. The 49ers are consistently looking for quite a lot of quality for an affordable price. And right now they have seen a distressed buyer in Wolves. They've seen a gap in their own squad at number 9, and they've gone, oh, that adds up quite nicely. And it means that we're able to get someone that is a ridiculously good player for less than we would be paying in the first place. Which I quite like. Rodon was 10. 8, 10. Let's be honest, we're a Premier League club. Doesn't make a difference right now. But I think that focus on distressed buyers and signing players that are almost forced to leave their clubs because of the position that their clubs are in is ultimately going to work in our favour. Like doing it with James Justin as well. Leicester are not in a good position right now, and James Justin had captained a couple of matches for them at the start of this season, and we just sort of went, oh, ours now, and now he's a very, very good asset to have. So it's lovely. I'm very, very happy with everything. Going to have a little bit of a skim through the chat, but ultimately, if this happens, distinctly happy. I'm going to go from the McDonald's Wi-Fi is stuttering message just to sort of get back to where we are. Wow, JB, a contract, 25 million release clause plus 25% is 27.5. That's not how percentages work. 25% on top of 25 million is 32.5? No, it's not. Ah, but 25% of 25 is tough. 6.25, 31.25 million. I'd take him for 31.25 million. But I don't know how high we're willing to go, but it's going to be a case of we will need some movement out before the PSR deadline, but we know that we can do that. So we know that Peru, I say we know, we believe, and it's a fairly reasonably based belief in reality, that Joel Piroe is not going to be a long-term Leeds United player from now. It's going to be a case of if he doesn't leave in this window, he will probably leave in the summer. And it's about expediting that so it's before the PSR window closes, and then we will be fine. That, or we sell Jack Harrison. Or we're able to get fees for Voba or for Schmidt. There will be movement outwards, I believe. There is nothing that says that there won't be movement outwards, and ultimately that'll sort of benefit us, and it'll be quite nice, and I'll be very, very happy with it, and we'll be able to sign him. I think, in terms of having the money, that's not where the issue lies. The issue lies with PSR, but I believe that we also have what we need to do it in PSR terms as well, which, at the end of the day, is what you're trying to do, isn't it? That gets the job done. Where were we? Has Larsen made any statements about the move to Leeds? No, but 99% of the time you won't get any public statements from players anyway, because if a move falls through, then you're just going to get the club that you already play for going, well, we just hate you now, when you still want to leave in the summer. It wouldn't make sense for him to make a statement against staying at Wolves. Instead, it'll make more sense for him to stay quiet, do the whole, oh, it was an honour to play at Wolverhampton Wanderers, and then join Leeds. The moment he joins Leeds, go, whoa, Ellen Road's massive, looking forward to playing here. The sort of generic spiel, and that gets you in the sort of place where you need to be as a new player. I wouldn't expect any sort of statements, though. Knew the money was there. Robbie Evans lied in the summer. I don't think he did. I think it was a case of we're going to have players leave before the PSR deadline. And if they don't leave before the PSR deadline, I'll be a little bit surprised. Oops, spent 10% suffering with flu. Maybe. Nice shirt. Thank you. It's the Creator Cup shirt. I quite like this shirt. It's very nice. I like that I've got... Have I got a couple of spares in the attic? I don't know. I might do. But any shirts that were left behind, I was like, cool, I'll chuck them in a box. And now I've got a big box full of football socks. I don't know whether it is also a box full of shirts, but we'll have to see. I think Rodon moves before we get JSL. I don't think Rodon's moving at all. I don't know where you've plucked Rodon leaving from. But that one doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. JSL will be a great signing, but I think it's out of reach PSR. I think PSR is fine enough. Again, it's just about getting someone before the exit. I don't know. But Wolves have PSR issues too. If they do, then that would explain why they want to sell for a higher value now than they would be able to get in the winter. I'm reading from the wrong bit of chat, which is probably why I'm looking a little bit weird right now. One of them at Sunderland, he seems to have down tools, which is bad for relegation scrap. I don't think he's down tools. I don't think if he would have downed tools, because if you look at his most recent matches, played against Newcastle, again, not the best of ratings, but if he had just straight up down tools, you don't play in the FA Cup match against Shrewsbury. If you're a player that's like, no, I'm just leaving and there's nothing that you can do about it, then you don't play in the match where you could potentially get injured and ruin a move. Instead, gets a hat-trick and an assist. Doesn't scream down tools for me, it screams Wolves are a basket case at the minute, and as a currently non-basket case, we can take a little bit of advantage of that, and I quite like it. But I understand Jimmy Paddy. Can Leeds afford 35 million? In terms of pure cash, yes, probably. In terms of PSR, not right now. We'd need to sell someone at some point, but we wouldn't need to sell them for 35 million because amortization of contracts and all that kind of stuff. This would be significantly easier if... Oh, Hannah's here. Yeah, Hannah, amortization makes sense, right? If he's got a 5-year contract, sign him for 35, we only need a £7 million departure, which I believe Jack Harrison is potentially at. But even then, Piroe does it. So Hannah arrived at just the right time. That we're getting onto amortization, and the accountant rocks in. Like, the look of that is spectacular. Right, where were we? Rodon was 10. Strand Larsen came in 89th minute and smashed it past Donnarumma in 94th minute in the last qualifier against Italy. Looks class. He is class, that's the thing. Yeah, but remember we also had 6 to 8 million for Harry Wilson. We did. I forgot about that, which means that we got a little bit of leeway. But then again, with the Harry Wilson stuff, the rumours around that were also sort of, well, if we have to sell someone, we have to sell someone. We're getting some quality in. So it sort of confuses everything. It hasn't worked with Perry. I mean, we say that. It's half a season in. I think everyone jumps to conclusions on new signings way too quickly right now. Like, Brendan Aronson right now is looking really, really, really good. And if he keeps being this good until the end of the season, everyone would be like, well, if we signed him at the start of this season, 25 million would look like a bargain. And not only that, but we got him for a season where he helped to get us promoted. Like, money in football right now is so nuts that you can look at a signing for like 18 million quid and go, that's not the most expensive. Leicester will be in real trouble in the summer, and it will be hilarious. Joe Live, well, I know. I want a shirt. I'll see if I've got any. Send me a shirt. Again, I don't. Right. Okay, I'll make a deal with you. At some point, I will check the loft and see what shirts are up there. There might be name-specific ones. I know I've got at least one name-specific one that hasn't gone to someone because they weren't able to be there on the day. So that'd be a nice little bit of memorabilia for someone. But, yeah. I don't know. I'll see. I'll work it out. It'll be fine. But I'm not going to go into the loft on 0 hours of sleep because that feels like a bad idea. That feels like a recipe for falling off a ladder. And I don't want to do that. That would be quite bad. Wouldn't go in with a bid if we weren't already agreed with the player looking good. Yes, the player side I don't think is going to be a problem. I think even... That was a fun hiccup. Even as a season ticket holder, if you are Strand Larsen's agent, there is ongoing negotiations and all this kind of stuff. I think showing up to a home match when there is conversation happening, but if you've already said, no, we don't want the move, would be insane. You would hide somewhere, to be honest. So I think showing his face there in the first place is a positive sign. But beyond that, I think, again, we're in a world of if you've made a bid, you already know that a player roughly wants to come to you. So we're in a good spot with it, I think. No income coming in at all. Vober injured. Piri refused to leave, and Harrison will bounce back to us. This is terrible. I don't know if he's going to be terrible for Serie A, to be completely honest with you. Am I working the Fiorentina match this weekend? Because that would be absolutely beautiful. Ian Rostress. Stream's okay. Thank you, Paul. Hi all, like Mr. Goodnight, and better late than never to this stream. You are indeed, but I might have read your comments already because you are the finance genius, and it's worth hopping to your comments relatively early because you know your stuff. Okay, for some reason, I'm not being taken to the quite important spreadsheet that will tell me if I'm working the Fiorentina match. But you know what? That's okay. That's fine. Like Palace, everyone's jumping ship from Wolves. Yes, I love it because it means that we can take advantage. I did have a moment of thinking, who could we sign from name of club? Palace. But no one particularly came to mind. I'd have loved Tyrick Mitchell, but that one's not going to happen. Fiorentina, Cagliari is tomorrow at 5. Tomorrow is the 24th. And is being worked by not me. Sorry, I will try and watch it though. I've not got any events tomorrow. My next one is Chelsea versus Palace on Sunday, which I think is going to be quite fun. And I can continue to watch Palace fall apart in real time, and it'll be hilarious. Right, I've just seen the word Cashwise. Cashwise would also be okay. Yes, we would. Give Perry a chance. Absolutely, I agree. Did Leeds pay that deadline flight from Cardiff to Leeds that never took off for Harry Wilson? I don't know, but if we did, it wouldn't have been too much out of the coffers, because if you consider the amount of money that we spend on players, flights by comparison, very little. Do a raffle of shirts for charity? I might do, it depends, because raffles are quite hard to work out, to be honest. And given baby stress, hard. Get rid of Pirro, Biscuit, rid of Joseph Harrison, Vobert, and Schmidt. Some of those players are going to be hard to get rid of, but Harry Wilson thing was very much like DJ, we had all the paperwork signed, etc. I can't remember what Harry Wilson said about it in a recent interview, but I will have a look and get back on that if it's something that people are interested in. Because I know he did an interview, I just can't remember it. Once I've caught up with the chat, by the way, I might end the stream there because I need to go around to the in-laws because the dubstep is still pounding next door, and get some sleep because they have kindly offered me the spare room to just hide in for like 6 hours. I need a left back without a doubt. Bonnet Wolves up and coming. Is he still up and coming? I think Hugo Bueno's relatively like on the older side now, isn't he? Is it who the fuck is Santiago Bueno? Hugo Bueno is a left back. Oh no, he's only 23. I thought it was like 25, 26. Interesting. Yeah, Hugo Bueno, not a bad player, but then again, being part of this Wolves system is quite scary, especially as a defender, because that defence is weak. So I think it might be a case of look to the continent and see what we can do. Surprised no one's tested the waters with Nanto. He isn't getting the minutes he'd want. I mean, someone might have, but he might not necessarily want to move because he is still young. Like, if you have a look at Villignanto, he is still 22, and it can take a little bit of time to break into Premier League squads. And let's be honest, he is a very, very, very good player. Not denying that in any way, shape, or form. But at the moment, Okafor, yeah, there's an argument to drop him. You don't drop Brendan Aronson at the minute because he's in quite good form. Is he doing enough in training to force his way in? We don't know, but someone who does know is Daniel Farke, and right now, given everything that's going on at the club, I am tempted to trust Daniel Farke with things. A lot of people might not be, but, you know, that's how it goes. I want Jack to do well just so he can finally go, even if it's only for 3 million or so. Yeah, off he goes. Flight watch stream from Birmingham. I'm gonna be honest with you, there ain't gonna be a flight. I'll be very surprised if there was a flight. A flight would blow my tiny, tiny mind, because there's absolutely no point. When we said right up against it PSR-wise, it could be that we had 6 million or so to spend, but no one on our sites want to spend the cash on other than Harry Wilson. That would make a little bit of sense, yeah. Ultimately, I think PSR is maybe not as tight as we were saying, but at the same time, we were also sort of eyeing up, right, what reasonably can we do? And what reasonably we could do was not a ton at that point in time, but as long as we end up in the right place, that's kind of what matters. I personally think this one gets done, but 58% of the chat say no, which surprises me a little bit. If you've not voted yet, get your votes in on whether or not you think Strand Larsen gets done. Also, I would massively appreciate you popping a like on the stream and all that kind of shebang, because that's the kind of stuff that keeps YouTubing, to be honest with you, because I did a little bit of a test on the video this morning, asked people if they could just like throw likes at it just to see if it got it a little bit more recommended, and in the time that I was able to do a little bit of testing on it, it did. So if you'd fancy doing that, that'd be absolutely wonderful. I did, however, lose a subscriber for some reason. So if you fancy subscribing and you're not yet, that'd be lovely, because apparently 50% of you just aren't. Which sucks, you know? Like, the fact that half the people that watch my stuff just don't subscribe is like, oh man, that'd be lovely. I keep forgetting that hyping is a thing, but you can do that as well, yeah. Will he be able to stop the move for a club higher up in the league in the summer? How do you mean, will he be able to stop the move for a club higher up in the league in the summer? I don't know. If he'll probably want to go somewhere that he's definitely going to play, is the important thing at the minute. And the fact of the matter is, if he comes to Leeds, then we go, Right, Calvert-Lewin starts, without a doubt, but do we now play two up top? Because we have second very, very, very good striker who's able to do that job. Which I think Strand Larsen is potentially good enough to bring about some system change, which ultimately benefits us. Howdy, baby zebra games. And yeah, I have caught up with the chat, so I'm gonna leave that there, I believe, because I am a tired boy. I need to sleep. What's happening? Just tuned in. You monster, Yorkshire Robert, and thank you for subscribing, DJI Rick. What's happening is that Leeds United have made a bid for Jurgen Strand Larsen. Said bid has been rejected by Wolves, but it's a fairly big but, and I cannot lie, you other mothers can't deny when something. Oh, and thank you for being a member, Baby Zebra Games. I've lost my big butts and cannot lie. Bugger. There we go. But the conversation is still ongoing. Leeds United are still looking at potentially doing a move. We will see how that one goes. Hopefully it goes in the right direction and Leeds United end up with their man. There is no nit because immediately before doing the stream I was trying to get to sleep. Next door neighbours were playing some very loud music, so I figured sod it. I'm going to do a stream because I want to. Because I want to, in the words of a Billy Piper song from the early 2000s. But I didn't get a chance to chuck on a jumper, so here we are instead. Again, thank you for becoming a member, Baby Zebra Games. There are some benefits for being a YouTube member, and it includes getting a bunch of videos and stuff early. DCL and JSL up front, easy as ABC. Oh, I love it. I wish I'd thought of that myself. Can I steal that slam dunk? Any flight watching vids coming? Only if we are looking like we are likely to do any international transfers, and that's not looking like that's likely the case. How was Billy married to Lawrence Fox? Because... Do I... Right. This is where we hit... This is where we hit a snag. I'm working... Technically, I'm working as well, because I consider this some work. Because it earns a little bit on the side, and that's quite nice. They're from Birmingham Airport. It can just drive at that point. Get a train. Protect the environment, man. Like I don't think that's gonna end up as a private flight job, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Yeah, how do I phrase the Billy Piper thing? We weren't in a world where people could be so outwardly horrible and discriminatory to others without any form of consequence yet. And now we are, so now we know that Lawrence Fox is a twat, is the way that I'm going to phrase that one. Anyway, on that, I'm going to bring the stream to a close in a moment. In fact, fuck it, I'm going to, before I do, welcome to Questions Corner. If anyone's got any questions about anything, chuck them in the chat. I'll do 2 or 3 questions and things, and screw it, I'll happily answer any little bits and bats and bobs that anyone's got before I end the stream, because I miss streaming. I quite like streaming. I'm just bad at doing it sometimes. How do you make your hair so majestic? Oh, right now I'm going on the sort of aesthetic of someone who tried to sleep on a beanbag in the corner of the room for the hour that a baby was asleep last night and didn't succeed, and then I tried to sleep for half an hour, and then next door did some very, very loud music, and then it was now. So that's the look, right? That's my routine. My routine is sleeplessness, which is a weird one. It's not recommended by too many beauticians, but you know what? I was going to say I like it. I don't like it. It hurts the brain. But fuck it. Here we are. How do I look to the stream? Spurs are going to get Robertson from Liverpool. Do you think we could get Destiny Udogie? No, because Udogie is probably a better right back than Robertson. And personally, I don't see Udogie leaving as a result of all that kind of stuff. There's another ego one. I don't think so. I personally think that we're in a very, very good position for this one. I might be wrong, but that's my theory. Where have all the pigeons gone? Fuck, you're right. All I see is seagulls. The government are recharging them. Creed to Spurs, apparently my Spurs better half isn't impressed by this rumour. It's a funny rumour, let's be honest. The rumour is something like 25 million quid, which would be a very, very interesting move. I don't think he's going to start in the slightest when he's there, but you never know, it could work out. Ophelia Payne been there. Yeah, it's one of those where I'm like, we'll get through it, but we're just not there yet. Sorry, let's show how much did we offer. We don't know, but it was almost certainly between 25 and 35 million pounds, if I'm guessing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that's my initial stab in the dark, because there are rumours of a release clause at 25 million. There's no point us offering any less than that. That would be incredibly stupid. But they want 40, so common sense says we at least go 5 below if we're trying to do a little bit of negotiation. Is the thinking. Miserable, don't put likes. Oh, you're saying that people that don't are miserable. Right, okay, I get you. You're right, they are miserable, which is why you should like the stream. Hey. What do you think of Wilson Isidore to potentially Everton for 25 million quid? I think that would be a miracle for Sunderland to pull off, to be honest with you. I don't think he's done much, if anything, this season. He's a very, very good striker, no doubt. But I think a sale for that much would be a hell of a move on Sunderland's part. And I don't know how Everton would find that as their best option. So we're not too far off the 40 million total price. It makes sense. Yeah, that's the rough sort of ballpark that I think we're going to land in. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But who knows? They might not get any more for JSL if they don't sell him now. That's my thinking. I don't think they get the full 40. And if they do, it will be a very, very cleverly structured deal that makes sure that it isn't putting a hell of a lot of financial emphasis on us right now. But I think they get more than 20, 25. I think 30 to 35 is where it lands, if I'm going to be honest. But I might be wrong. We'll see. Forest and Palace are the competition. Forest are no longer the competition. Forest have signed Lorenzo Luca, who is an Italian striker, who I kept signing on Football Manager, which is really annoying because now he's going to be significantly more expensive on Football Manager. Palace are in the conversation. However, if I can again find the right thingy, Palace are not simply only eyeing a move for Strand Larsen. They are also looking at Siddiqui Sharif, who weirdly they are in a bidding war with Wrexham for, and Jeff Ekator, who is apparently a quite good forward. Yeah, Palace are in a really weird spot. And if you are any footballer right now, and there's a bunch of moves available in front of you, and one of them is Palace, I think if you're looking at that 2 months ago, you're saying, yes, I'm definitely going to go to Palace. If you're looking at it now, where Mateta wants out, Gueye is gone, Glasner wants out, and Glasner is the thing that drove them to silverware, and is the only reason they're playing in Europe right now, you say, maybe not. I think if you're Larsen and your options are Leeds or Palace, Leeds are the ones that aren't a basket case at the minute. As usual, there'll be no new signings except for 1 or 2 teenagers for future resale values. Okay, question then. What do we need? Where do we need to drastically spend a hell of a lot of money to survive in the Premier League right now? Because I'm looking at the Premier League table. Right. And I'm not looking at a tournament where we're in deep shit. I'm looking at a competition where we're 8 points clear of relegation. And let's do a little bit of maths. And we are as close to 4th place as we are 19th. And similarly, we are as close to 7th place as we are the relegation zone at all. I don't think we're in a position where we need to throw money at players. I'm in a position where if we do, then it'll be someone that, yeah, has resale value, because you'd be a moron if you don't get players with resale value. But I think this is one of those where it'll just make a little bit of sense. We don't need to make massive signings, and signings that we do make will be signings of opportunity like this one. And it works. Yeah, it's genuinely weird that we're not the basket case at the minute, but it's fun. I like it. How much cash do you forecast we have available to spend in summer? I think... Oh. What was the... Right, okay. Hold on. Give me a minute, and I will be able to tell you. No, I can't find it that way. Academy budget. There we go. So projected spending for next summer, according to the 49ers investment deck that they sent out when getting the most recent bunch of cash in, was over £120 million for next summer. In theory, you take out whatever we potentially signed Strand Larsen for, and it's that much, is my thinking. But John Shaw's I Don't Like You Right Now, it is significantly colder than that. Yeah, Coco, you're as funny as the plague. It's... nah. Could you rank Leeds as 3 keeps in terms of ability? Oh, God, no, to be honest with you. Melier at the bottom, but that's because of consistency. I'm going to put Perry above Darlow because I think Perry has a higher ceiling, but he's just sort of struggling after joining recently. Anyway, now I am going to bring the stream to a close because I quite badly need to sleep and I can feel myself getting a little bit floaty. So, hope you all enjoyed the stream. If you did, pop a like on it, subscribe, become a channel member, all the fun stuff. Be massively appreciated. Aim for 12, happy with 15, settle with 17th. Absolutely, that'll do. I'm going to go. I've got a, like, 3/4 of a mile walk before I get to a bed. So, that'd be nice. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, pop a like on it, and I will see you all later. And if anything big happens before I'm awake, I'm sorry. I will do a video or stream as soon as I can. Toodaloo. Where's the button? Where's the button? Where's the button? This one.